We are doing a step-by-step, in-depth how-to for the cleanest Raptor fender mod. Here it is stock, and here's a little teaser of what it's going to look like when it's done. Let's check it out. All right, so let's quickly talk about what this fender mod is all about, what you gain, and who it's really for. And I want to kind of just use this square. I think what I'll use is this, I'll line this up, just have a reference point right here, right? And then you kind of get an idea of where this is now. So later in the video, I'll kind of do a before and after with these side by side or right after each other. The idea is that back here is where the tires rub. So you'll want to push this back so the tire can pass through here and not rub without chopping all this up and making it look ugly. And that's what we're going to do in this fender mod today. So just wanted to give you kind of the idea and this reference point to where it is now and to where it's going to end up. All right, so I've got the tire turned pretty much full lock. Bounces back a little bit when you let go of the steering wheel, but obviously you can see how close it is in here. He's had very little rubbing issues, but he does primarily street drive this truck. He's so concentrated on his boys motocross and racing, he hasn't had a chance to go out and off-road much. But he wants this as a proactive, preventative deal. He doesn't ever want to hit it or mess anything up, so he wants to do this before that happens, which is smart. I wish everybody was like this, because no one's hacked it up and it's going to look really, really good when it's done. But here's an idea of how close it is before the mod. All right, we're going to start with removing the bottom portion of this fender flare, basically just detaching it so that we can get access behind it. All right, so I've taken out these 3 screws. These are 7mm, by the way. And then you want to pull this away. This is where things can get a little dicey because these clips can break. You just got to use some force. There's the clips right there and here. Local auto parts stores do have these if they break, and then I'll show you later, but you'll want to insert the new ones in here so they just pop into the sheet metal. It's pretty straightforward, but I will show some detail on that later. There we go, getting some access here. All right, so now that I got this apart, I'm realizing this is the other style that I haven't done in about 6 years. I'll show a quick image of what the little bit more common style is here, which is so weird. These are the same gens, same Raptors, but they do make this in a couple different ways. But this piece here does make this a little bit more work than normal. The other one that's got the felt in here is a lot easier to access all of this. So because of that, this is all got to come out of the way. To get this out of the way, I got to I might have to remove this whole inner fender, we'll see. But I am going to take the whole flare off just to preserve it and protect it, so that I can get back behind here to start doing these mods. Once you've pulled all of these clips out, just be careful when you get down to the very end. You do have this wire that you can unplug right here so that you can pull this flare off. There we go. So these little screws here need to come out so I can pull this down. These are 5.5mm. A couple little Christmas trees, those plastic push pins. This one here, this one here. I know those for sure. I'll pop those out and then we'll see if we can get behind this thing. All right, once all these are out, they're pretty loosened up. There's a spot right here where this is all stuck behind. So these things, when they have a tight fit like that, I like to use a really thin, fine screwdriver to get them started, get them pried up a little bit so that you can kind of get back behind them with something bigger. Like that. There we go. Sorry I couldn't catch that on camera, but had to put some leverage into it. Let's get to the next one here. Got it. That one was stubborn. It went flying across the garage. All right, see if we can get behind this thing. All right, so Meta glasses died. Got the GoPro set up. See how this goes. There we go. So now we have access to everything behind the scenes that needs to be trimmed. The biggest culprit is this pinch seam here. Well, this thing here needs to go. So let's see if I can capture this on camera, or at least walk you through how I do it. If you're nervous about removing these kind of things, this might not be for you. Okay, this is just a little progress update. I've just been using pry bars, getting behind this. I did get from the bottom to pry out a little bit, and now it's finally starting to peel away. So just wanted to kind of show you as it goes. Once it finally breaks loose, I was actually able to just grab it and peel the rest of it out. So this goes in the garbage. You can Google it. Pretty useless. Alright, so here's our first kind of view as to exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start up here, and we're going to trim down along my finger line down to this corner down here. This will be where this is now, where the tire is kind of rubbing, will be back to here. So all of this will be gone, and then from here out to about here will be gone. This will all be pushed back. So all this will be opened up for the tire to pass through. Alright, so cutting this. I always tell everybody, use what you are comfortable with. I've got a Sawzall back in my shed that I could use, and I might go get it. I think I'm going to tackle this with this cutoff wheel. I'll kind of back things up with this air saw. It's been my favorite little saw. I've had this forever. And a couple little backup tools there just in case one works better than the other. But I'm going to start up here with the cutoff wheel, work my way down to here, and then I'll cut across and take this piece out, and then move on to the next step. So let's see how this goes. And just real quick, I am wearing eye protection. I'm actually wearing Meta glasses through some of this when the battery's not dead. But some sort of respirator between metal shavings, plastic cutting, fiberglass cutting, just all the stuff that's floating around. I've swept this up 4 or 5 times. Probably not good to inhale it, so, you know, at least while you're cutting, wear something like this. So this next cut is going to be right about through where this bolt is. It's a pinch seam bolt that really just kind of holds the fender on at the front here. So I'm going to take this bolt out so we can make this cut. And you know, this mod isn't for the faint of heart, so if you're somebody that's saying, oh, I can't believe you're taking that apart, oh, I can't believe you're cutting that, and you have problems with this kind of stuff, then this isn't for you. Pre-runners are probably not for you. There are sacrifices that have to be made, and there's mods that have to be done, so it is what it is. Well, let's start cutting. Alright, so what I've done so far is cut out this triangle and this square that was across the bottom. We'll clean all this up around the edges and make it look good. So you're kind of getting a little bit of the idea here. This point here was the closest to the tire. Now we're taking this point and putting it back to here. It's gaining about 1.5 inches, which is substantial in a situation like this. This next cut would be, my Sawzall would be the best. I'm going to try to make this work because it's in my hands and the Sawzall is back in my shed and I'm lazy. So let's see what happens here. So I'm going to take back this metal a little bit more. I cut this initially, the way I marked it, I was quite conservative about it, not wanting to take too much meat off. And then as I kind of got down on the bottom and kind of seeing where the rest of the pinch seams were, I didn't cut it quite back as far. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've done one of these. So I'll show you the final result, but I am going to take this back a little bit. I'll make all this stuff kind of match, and then we'll start working on how we're going to attach everything back together. Yep, that's where I wanted to be. Alright, now I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this little L bracket. So this is the magic piece to the puzzle. It's a little L bracket. I will put a link in the description for this, for those of you that might want to try doing this on your own. It's stainless, and it doesn't have to be this one, but this one has been the one I've used for years. I bought a bag of 100 of these darn things because I was doing these quite often. But the idea is it's going to sit here. This is going to get pushed back, and the cell bracket's going to be bolted in place down here using all stainless hardware. This area is very susceptible to moisture, and you just don't want things rusting. So it's going to be bolted down here, and then this mount that is down here on the plastic that used to mount here is still going to mount there, but it's being held back, which is taking the plastic and bringing it this way. We'll also have to heat up that plastic to kind of help form it, keep it out of the way. We'll get to that, but now you're kind of getting the idea of how I hold everything in place and keep it nice and strong and sturdy and built to withstand the rigors of off-road and bouncing all over the place. Alright, so I got the L bracket in place. I did use a rivet, so you can bolt that in. Just make sure if you use a bolt and a nut that it's a lock nut so it doesn't come apart. Rivet works just fine as well. This was mostly for a locator, so you could put this back here and locate where this needs to be. So we will cut this off and completely not use it anymore, because now this is the final mounting point. Alright, so this is the piece that was here. We had bent it over to locate for that bracket there. I just cut it off. I'll clean this up, file it with a little flapper wheel, just so it doesn't have any sharp edges. And for the most part, all of this inner fender mods and brackets and cutting are done. This is, any exposed metal on these trucks is aluminum, so you don't have to freak out about rust. If this was an older truck with a steel cab, I always tell everybody, put some paint on wherever you've cut metal, just to prevent future corrosion, but these aluminum rigs don't have that issue. Alright, so now you want to take this inner fender and you want to kind of stuff it back up in there. When I say stuff it, you got to get this behind here, you got to get this behind there, kind of got to manipulate it, so be patient with it. At some point it's going to need to be heated up so it forms to its new pattern here. It's a freaking puzzle. Almost. So when I'm eating plastic, I like to think about where that pivot hinge point is, if you will. And when I'm pushing on here, I can tell it's kind of like right in there, right? I'm pushing on it, see what I'm talking about? So I want to heat it there, and I'm going to try to push on it down here with my hand without getting the plastic too hot, to get it to have a new memory and have it stay after we've heated it up. So let's see what happens. So I got this pretty hot. You don't want to melt it, you don't want to distort it, but you got to get it hot enough where it's going to start changing its shape. And then I'll hold it in place, maybe even kind of like past where you want it to go. And you got to wait for it to cool off, or it kind of just bends right back. The other trick is to put 2 little holes down in the bottom, run a little zip tie through those holes, and drill a hole in the backside in the sheet metal to just hold it in place. And a lot of times with stubborn plastic, I will do that because, heck, I can do it so low down here you won't even see it. Half the time it just looks factory. You put the locking part of the zip tie in the backside so you don't see it. But we might end up doing that anyways. I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I do to heat this plastic and see if I can get it to have new memory. Yeah, that's a big difference. This thing was way in here. This is all curved in now. So probably get the fender flare on, get everything kind of tidied up before I make a final decision on that. If I'm gonna, I mean, it's like no tension at all, but another 1/2 inch if I used a zip tie there. So we'll wait to make that decision. Alright, so this is kind of the final part where the cosmetics really come in. The idea is you want to keep this nice factory look. So we are going to have to do a pie cut down here so this can bend back and attach to that mount right there. The fender's got to come on and off a few times. So what I like to do is pop all these out so that I can put the fender up there and not have it accidentally click into place through one of the holes and take it back down again. But better to take your time and not rush it. Yeah, so let's get it up there. Okay, so getting this in somewhat where it goes, and making a mark so here to here. This will be a straight line. and then I'll cut along here, and this little piece of pie will come out. Then we will form this to go along with the line. So these types of cuts I like to use blue tape, and I'll just take the saw and follow along these lines. Alright, once you got this pie cut in here, we want to bend this in. So that kind of bend point, hinge point's right about here. I'm going to heat it from the back side, just to help with hopefully not damaging paint, of course. But yeah, I'm just really patient with it. I don't go quick. I lose a low setting on the heat gun, and I take my time. These being painted, it does make me nervous because I usually work with just the raw plastic ones. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so I heated this up. I'm holding it in, and just gonna let it cool off while I'm holding it. So, you know, it does have a little bit of memory spring back, but nowhere near like it was. The heat does a huge difference to it. So all these clips kind of survived. One was stuck in the fender. I got it out without damage. Get that back in there. This one was missing. That's common if they've ever had anything apart on these things, they break, and a lot of guys don't replace them. So we're basically going to plug the light back in, line up all of these, and pop them all back in place. And then we'll see what we gotta do down here to get this piece to go in. So when you're plugging this back in, just make sure these little tabs here line up with these holes in there. There's a little locator for them, just to put everything back factory the way it's supposed to be. There, locked in place. And then once you find all these holes line up, start popping this thing back in. Oh boy. Yeah, this is gonna look good. All right, let me get the hardware. Once you've got the flare all popped into place, basically all of these fasteners can be retightened down, and I'm saving this one for last for the bottom. And there we have it. This is the difference you get. I'll get the square over here and compare. Alright, so if you remember earlier in the video, I put the square up alongside the step here. It was on the driver's side, and now we're on the passenger side, but that's just because I decided to do the passenger side first. So we'll slide back here. See that difference? That is all the difference in the world of the tires clearing. And all the difference in the world of not having something cut, hacked up, and chewed. At first glance, if you walked by this truck, this would just all look factory. No one would even know the difference. And that's the whole idea of these fender mods. There you have it. Look at that difference compared to what it was before. This is huge. Big enough for 37s. These are 35s with a super aggressive offset on these wheels, so they stick out. So it's almost like having 37s as far as rotating and rubbing and radius would go. But yeah, just figured I'd show this contrast of the Fender mod versus stock. This is what the Fender used to do all the way to this line here. So this completely opens up the radius for the tire to pass through without showing any hack or cut marks. Super clean, all the trimming is done behind the scenes.